right, everybody, we're kicking it old school for this week's Tuesday tip video, where we're going to be opening up a package with some tires that you've already seen in the title and thumbnail, so I'm not going to draw it out any further. We're going to bust out the old unboxing knife here and get right on into it very carefully, because they are tires after all. These are the Odyssey Super Circuit tires. They are a take on the Aitken, as well as in combination with, I think, the Path Pro, I believe. I could be totally lying here, but they are a new tire from Odyssey that are meant for transition and racing. So yes, very obviously when you're looking at this tire, you can see that it is taking inspiration from the Aitken. It is the Super Circuit, is 120 TPI. You can go from 100 to 110 PSI Max on these. This is the 210. We have another 210 here. And then we have, for comparison, a 2.4. So these tires come in 3 different sizes. I believe the other size that they come in, yes, is 1.75. So that is for the racers and potentially flatlanders out there. So that's something that I think people might miss these days, is that flatland exists and they enjoy having smaller tires because it helps with their flatland. So these Super Circuit tires use the K-Lyte Plus bead on them. They have our grip according to the sidewall here, and these are obviously a folding tire. So I have the 2.4 here as well as the 210, and I also have a scale because these tires are also extremely light. So let's just bust out the scale here and take a weight measurement on them. All right, so here we have the 2.4. We're gonna turn the scale on, and don't worry, we'll be getting you B-roll here to show you what it says. In ounces, we have 17.8 ounces for a 2.4 tire. That is extremely, extremely light. And that is probably part of the reason why it's meant for only transition / skate park riding and racing, because it's very light, meaning it's got thin sidewalls on it. So that is the 2.4. Now let's grab a 210 and check a weight on that. I'm doing this outside, one, because it's beautiful and not scorching hot today, and 2, I had my usual setup with the top-down camera and everything, but there was a light in the garage there that was flickering really badly, and me caring a lot about you guys not having seizures from the lights flickering, we're doing it out here. So we're gonna zero this thing out, and this is the 210. We have 15.25 ounces. So that is less than a pound for a tire. For comparison, these Alienation Prowler light tires in 225 are around 19 ounces, I believe, 18, 19 ounces, which is very, very light in its own right. So these Super Circuit tires are that much lighter yet. So next thing I think we can do here is put one of these 210s on the front. I'll be riding it in place of the Aitken, which it drew inspiration from, and we're gonna be seeing how it feels. So we have nothing to cut to. I don't have to change anything up, so we might as well just jump right on into it. We're gonna use one angle for this whole thing. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. We're gonna have to lift you up a little bit. Okay, here we are, set up and ready to get this front tire on the bike. First things first, we gotta get the old one off, and to do that, we gotta take off the wheel with this shout out to Park Tool MQ1. So let's do that, and while we're going through the process of taking this apart and putting the new tire on, I thought it'd be cool to bring up some talking points for you guys, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to front tires in the years of BMX. So first of all, let's talk about our favorite front tires throughout the years in history of BMX. Of course, it goes without mentioning that the classic Aiken, like what we have here, is a classic. It's a front tire I've enjoyed using ever since I got one, literally I think like in 2007. It's been a long time. But real quick here, I gotta let the air out of this thing. So anyways, I've used Aiken tires literally since like 2007. They are definitely my go-to as far as front tires go. Now I ride the Prowler Light in the rear. That is my go-to rear tire these days. But Aiken still for the front. The Reuben, the classic Reuben, that is definitely a favorite throughout the years, and definitely one that people are going to mention in this conversation. What else is there? Seems like I've seen people using the mainline tire from S&M in the front, all versions of the Reuben tire. I used to run Odyssey Path tires in the front before I got the Aiken tire. What else is there? Leave yours in the comments down below. I know a lot of people enjoyed the Fit FAFs, Odyssey Path Pros too, since we brought up the Path tire. There's a lot of them throughout the years, that's for sure. And it's also funny and worth bringing up too how throughout the years of BMX, the tire preferences in whether or not people will run front and rear same tires has changed. I remember years ago I got two of the same front tires. Wow, I might get this without the tire cover. Or two of the same tires for front and rear, and one of my buddies made fun of me for it for whatever reason. Like, oh, you got the same tires in the front and the rear? I don't know. But then I also remember hearing people say things like that about having different tires. These days, I think lately, I've heard people saying that about having the same tires front and rear. I definitely am a fan of having two different tires because I like my front tire to have as much grip as I might need for if I'm like riding street. Ever since I started having my trails bike, it's not quite, oh come on. Shout out to Park Tool tire levers with the steel core to get the folding tire off of the Alienation tubeless rims. Okay, let's hope I didn't hurt that tube. Shouldn't, it's rounded. Either way, I like having max grip in the front for whatever situation I might find myself in riding wise. And then in the rear, it doesn't matter quite as much other than for things like foofs and 270 foofs and things where I'm doing, or where the tire needs to grip coping as good as possible. Let's not rip my valve stem out or off. And I suppose while we're on the subject, leave your favorite rear tires in the comments below as well. I am a fan of the Prowler Light. I used to run these in the back too. I think throughout the years, as far as front and rear tires goes, I ran the Animal GLH in the rear for a long time because I wanted a tire that could withstand freaking volcanic eruption or something. So grabbing the Super Circuit here, I think I've also ran some Shadow tires. I think it was the Undertaker. I ran those for a bit. That was a long time ago. Oh, I forgot to grab a pump. That's okay. We'll get the shout out to Park Tool pump. So we're gonna be trying out the Super Circuit, seeing how it feels. This is not a bike I ride at the trails, so I won't be able to give a report on trails use with it. I suppose when I first opened these, maybe I should have gave a first impressions on the tread pattern. I already said very comparable to the Aiken, which is right beside it now. It's basically like a version of the Aiken that comes with less tread on it and has thinner sidewalls for sure. Yeah, these sidewalls are definitely thinner than on the Aiken. So we're getting the Super Circuit installed here, and then I will pump it up and see how it looks. There's one thing in BMX right now that I have noticed, in that tires go in certain sizes, but then once they're inflated, if you put in that full 110 PSI to something like this, it might grow a little bit or look bigger than the 210 size that it says it is. So that's another thing we're going to be checking out, so that you guys know which one to buy between 210 and 2.4. Although I would imagine a lot of you want big tires these days. Seems like that's the thing right now, is having a big tire, because having that big tire for things like tire rides and just the smoothness of it in general seems to be desired right now. Oh, come on. Rotate that tube in there. All right, so we got one side of this thing on without using a tire lever. Let's see if we can get the other on. This tube definitely still has a lot of air in it. If I let some of that out, it will help. Ooh. This thing just feels smaller than the Aiken. The Aiken is a super beefy tire, but people still love it. I still love it, and a lot of people still ride it. So it's very clearly still got love in the BMX world. Wow, you can, when you're pinching this, you can feel the thinness of the sidewalls, and why they do not advise you to ride this tire in the streets, which I'm sure people will still do, as up to you once you buy it, but it's put out there that it is not made for that. Another thing I'm noticing while I'm putting this on here is how grippy the rubber is. Like, major grip. I feel like I'm able to get a hold of it better. But also struggling to get it on there without a tire lever. There, boom, that popped right on there. Nice. Okay, so I gotta grab my Park Tool pump so we can pump this guy up and tighten everything down. Actually, you know what? I think I can safely tighten everything down first, because my wheels are dished properly, and I'm able to tighten this down as long as I make sure that the axle bolts are bottomed out in the dropouts, so that it's centered in the dropouts. And this is a very awkward position. Why am I doing this? Don't ask. Perfect. And now we'll get the pump and be right back. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the fact that I just put this tire on backwards, and that I have to take it back off and put it back on. So I guess what's going to happen is I'm going to pump this up, show you what it looks like, and then do all of that after the video's over. All right, let's take you off the tripod here and give you a bit of a closer look. So first of all, yes, my tire is on backwards, but this is a super close look at the tread on one of these. Here is the sidewall. And I actually have some digital calipers from Park Tool here, so we can get a very precise measurement on the width of this tire. As you can see on the pump, we are currently at just under 100 PSI. So now let's take a look at what these say. So I'm gonna just hold it against the left side and tighten until it touches, and we can see here we are at exactly 2.1010. So this is definitely exactly at 2.1. And what I think I can do here now is I'm going to let some air out until we get to about 80 PSI. Then we'll measure again, go to 60, measure again, just so you guys can see exactly what you're going to be getting if you get these tires. Okay, as we can see here, we are just at 60 PSI on the tire pump. Now let's take our digital calipers here and do the exact same thing we did last time. So we stop and we are at 2.06, just about right there. 2.06 is what we're getting at. So at 60 PSI, it's actually a little bit smaller than 2.1. Now we are at exactly 80 pounds on the pump, and I did this the smart way and let air out until it was below 60, then pumped it up to 60, so that we're not doing any kind of guesswork here. And then we did the same thing going up to 80, just keeping going from there. So let's take a look at where we're at on the calipers. Zeroing it out, it looks like you're getting about 0.01 per 10 PSI, because it's at 2.08 now and we went up 20 PSI. Oh, and I forgot to mention here, I have these 2.4 tires, or I have 4 tires here. So I'm going to be giving 2 of these tires away to somebody local to me whenever I'm out riding sometime here soon. I'm going to be at a skate park, I notice somebody needs a tire, or somebody's talking about these tires, going to give them to them. So keep your ears out. If you're in a local session with me, or you see somebody who needs a tire and we're riding together, let me know. Figured I'd throw that in here as well. Now continue with the video. And just because I figured why not, I have the 2.4 tires. I have mounted up one of the 2.4 tires here, as you can see. And I figured let's put the calipers on that as well. So here we got 60 PSI in this tire, a little bit more. And when we close it down, we are right at 2.4. So let's do that again. Yep. We're closing down just to 2.4, 2.38. So there is a frame of reference for you on the 2.4s. And I think that I'm just going to leave this one on my bike as the one that I will ride. So here it is in all of its spinning glory, facing the correct direction this time. So yeah, continue the video. So there you go, just a fun little experiment in tire pressure relating to inflated tire size. So that 210 that they're having is at 100 PSI in these tires. They are rated to go up to 110. It says 100 PSI max on here, but on the back of the packaging, let's grab this here, you can see it says 100 to 110 PSI with 120 TPI. So that is a quick look at the Odyssey Super Circuit Tire, made with transition and racing in mind, going fast, 100 PSI, 110 PSI, hauling ass. 1.75 inches, 2.1 and 2.4 are the sizes. You can get them now at mail orders, local bike shops, wherever you buy your tires at. So that being said, thank you for watching this video. Check out the Super Circuit. If you've ridden them already, because they've been out for a little bit now, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, let me know your favorite front tire of all time in the comments down below. I know everybody has their go-to. Same with rear tires, because why not? And hopefully you enjoyed this video enough, or learned something enough, that if you're new here or you haven't yet, you'll consider hitting the subscribe button down below so we can see you tomorrow for another one. I'm gonna get this all apart here, flip the tire around so it's facing the correct direction, and we'll see you tomorrow for another one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.